Hey guys, I apologize for the bit of confusion that I caused with episode 104 and 105. I accidentally put the title and thumbnail of episode 105 on episode 104, and that just turned into a bit of a weird situation, and that is also why I forgot to upload a video for a week. Well, I didn't forget to upload a video for a week, but I actually forgot that I had already made episode 105. So I was kind of busy this week and I thought, no, I have no video to release, I'm sorry guys, but turned out that I had a video on my computer this entire time, so I'm sorry about that. In any case, this episode is gonna be a bit of a less interesting episode. I mean, at this point, the Victorian teacups ride is pretty much finished. The entire little tea house on steroids is all done. And the only thing that was really left to do in this area is pathworks. This episode is just going to be pathworks, not just the shapes, but also the fences and things that I wanted to add on and around them. But yeah, that is something that I can't avoid, and the promise concept of this entire series was to record everything. So I'm not skipping anything in my videos, but do understand that this is not going to be the most interesting video for those of you who aren't really interested in pathwork. Because that's the main thing that's going to happen in this episode. That doesn't mean, by the way, that I don't think that pathwork is relevant. Now, it's something that I just feel like people often underestimate how important it is to get your pathwork done in a good way, since it really lays the foundation of what your park layout is going to be. And I feel as if buildings that are really good but placed in a very bad, not so coherent way, with just terrible park planning, is almost a bit of a waste of good buildings. So especially for this area, since I wasn't even sure what sort of theming and buildings I wanted to get around it, I really wanted to make sure that I got the pathwork done right. Now, about those buildings, the only thing that I'm going to be planning in this area around the roller coaster is the station itself, which I'm not sure yet how I want to do this station. Since it's a bit of a hard theme. English theme is something that I've rarely ever seen. I think I haven't ever seen it, except for like rural small parks, and to be very honest, I still have no idea how I want to do this station in the future. But other than the station, I won't have any buildings around the roller coaster itself, just foliage. But that rocky sort of terraforming that you can see right there next to the corkscrew, that is going to be a flat ride, most likely going to be a Ferris wheel, because somebody gave the recommendation to try Ferris wheel, since it's, you know, London Eye and that stuff, and figured that's actually a really good idea, so I'll try to get that in. And next to that is going to be a really big string of facades, which is going to lead all the way back to the train, where I'll just have these sort of standard English row houses in either Victorian or stucco styles. Those are both things that I still need to look at, especially the buildings that I already have, since I'm definitely going to have to make some custom scenery to make it more realistic than it is right now, since with Alpine Village you can come pretty close to a Tudor look, but I am really missing out on the Tudor roses, and I got actually some really good feedback in the comments, so I'll reflect on that and see how I can change the buildings to make them a tiny bit more realistic than they are at the moment. So that's also something that I want to do. The only real special thing that I want to get in building wise is I'm going to have a weenie in this area. I can't not have a weenie over here, and the main weenie is going to be a big tower like the Elizabeth Tower in London, or the Town Hall in Manchester, I think, that I mentioned before. Now that's one big problem, since there isn't really too much custom scenery using which you can make things like that. So it's basically to get the realistic Tudor look, to get some more realistic washed out bricks, and to get pieces to build English clock towers that I want to make some simple custom scenery. It's not going to be a lot of stuff, but it's something to keep in mind, since it's going to take a tiny bit more time to finish this all, since the custom scenery making is something that I don't include in the videos, but it does actually take a bit of time for me. So yeah, that's why I might lag a tiny bit on how many videos I'll record in the future. Plus, I am pretty busy now. One other thing that I might actually want to do, which has nothing to do with the Let's Plays, but I really feel like I have to do actually, is get back to my tutorials. I haven't done one in a very long time, and I've still got a bit of a list of things that I need to do / people have asked me to do. And one of the things I would actually like to try first is an Asian tutorial, because I see that the Asian theme is becoming more popular recently, but there's a couple of things that I would like to say about it. In any case, that was very off topic. I'm just, you know, talking about stuff because this is not too interesting. Actually, I did have a bit of an interesting discussion in the stream, since one thing that you'll notice about this roller coaster is it comes really close to the paths. which is, of course, the goal of this thing was to have a lot of path and scenery interaction to make it look as interesting as possible. I mean, it is a B&M stand-up after all, but one thing about that is that these fences are quite low. So there was a bit of a conflict, like, should I make the fences higher, which would actually like lower the aesthetic value than it has right now? Because that's one of the things that I like about this area, is how accessible and open it all looks. Like, paths are going everywhere. There's a lot of very detailed gardening, and it looks very open and inviting. And the problem is, as soon as I add very high fences around the roller coaster tracks, which are everywhere around the path over here, I would break up that openness. But I would like break down that openness. That was a bad wording. So yeah, I kind of don't want to do that. But on the other hand, it is a lot more realistic, because technically right now children can, well, not like little children, but bigger children and people that lost their caps on the ride and want to get their cap back can climb over the fence and be killed by the roller coaster. So that's something to keep in mind, but I think my final say in this entire thing is that I'm going to keep these fences low. I'm not going to care too much about... Okay, that sounds really bad. I was about to say I'm not going to care too much about the safety of my guests. No, I find it important, but I want to keep that aesthetic value to it, and I feel like these fences are just good enough to not let people without common sense pass them, and to let people with common sense understand that they should not pass a fucking roller coaster track. So yeah, I just don't want to make this entire thing look like it's a jail. So that is why my fences are somewhat low. See, if this was real life, there would be more of an in-between option, but since this is Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, and you either have 1H fences, which are low, or you have 2H fences, which look like you're trying to lock people up in your park, there is not really some in-between sort of action that I can do to make the park look safe and inviting at the same time. So that's why I would like to go with the low fences rather than, yeah, the very high ones. So yeah, I do realize, and I am aware of the fact that this might not be the safest way to go, but I feel like it is just safe for this area. So that's that. Plus, people need to make their way through an abundance of flowers if they ever want to get to any of the roller coaster tracks over here. This was actually something I think I kind of forgot. Like, in the entire making of this park, I forgot to actually have these signposts that say where you need to go for what. And it's not just a good idea because technically it's a very realistic thing, but it's filler. And awesome filler for pathworks is always amazing. So it's essentially the same thing as a sundial or a little fountain, just trying to get a little centerpiece in your pathwork, which is something that's, I know it's a bit of a tough thing because you get a lot of useless stuff about your park in a way, since you'll notice that many people in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 spam fountains and sundials like it's their daily job, and an unrealistic amount of sundials and fountains often happens, or whatever you can really place in the center of a path. But still, I would probably argue for doing this stuff, because otherwise you get those really large path areas, and usually in real life you'd have many people walking around them and you don't really notice how empty it is. But the thing is, a park looks a lot different when there are no people in it, and this also counts for Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. The only problem is that the peeps are ugly, so I would like my parks to actually look good without any people in them, and look better with people in them, which is what they usually do. Which is why I would like to keep open spaces non-existent in my park, at least large open spaces. In real life you can have really wide pathways in Disney, for example. There'll be many people on it, and a lot of entertaining stuff going on the pathway, which makes it more interesting than just an empty, large, wide pathway. But in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 you don't really have this, which is why, at least that's the sort of small theory that I have, why people really like to spam little path elements to get that emptiness out of their paths, which is also why I do it. And to be honest, it's something that I'm really not against. It does work aesthetically. So yeah, that is why you'll see me placing many more sundials in this park. How I think, yeah, I've already got 2 sundials in. There's one in the English area, and there's one in the Spanish area. And to be very fair, who even reads sundials? So that's pretty pointless. Plus, I also need to figure out, since one of the ideas of the park was also to get a signature flag post in every area, where I've got the flag post for Spain up in that one large building of the Spanish area. I still need to get an Italian flag. I actually don't have that one yet. I would like to place that one in the little Italian town facade that I have currently. The Dutch flag is of course in front of the Stain Train. I was about to say that. But in front of the train station, and that is of course a very, well, I think it's a good location for it. Very visible and very central to that area. But for the English area, I have no idea, because I feel like plopping a flagpole on top of a Victorian tower is something that I should avoid doing. So I still need to figure out what would be the best sort of area for the beautiful English cross. So I'll see. Actually, no, it's not. Do I keep calling this area England? It's actually a bit of a tough thing. I haven't even realized that. I haven't even thought about whether I want to make this England or Britain as a whole, though I think it's just going to be England, so I might make the English flag. I don't know if that exists, but that's very off topic. I see that I'm running out of time, so thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Auf Wiedersehen.